Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Financial Friday. We are so grateful to have you here today. We are joined by myself, Miss Crystal Parker. I am the Financial Education and Community Outreach Ambassador for the Credit Union, and we have our lending manager, Amy Storr, with us today. Thank you so much for joining us today, Amy. I am very grateful to have you with us. Today, we're going to talk about rate shopping and whether or not this will hurt your credit. We have many members ask about this when they are navigating the lending process, so we thought this would be a great topic for us to cover today. So thank you so much for joining us. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments and we will answer them as best we can. So before we get started, we thought it would be great to first talk about what is your credit score. Your credit score is comprised of what I like to refer to as the credit pie. So the most important thing, as you'll see, is your payment history, which is worth 35%. Your amounts owed is 30% of your score. New credit is 10% of your score. The length of your credit history is 15%, and your credit mix is 10%. We're not going to cover these in detail today, as we can do this on a future Financial Friday or perhaps one of our e-learning series as a full-on webinar. But I wanted you to be mindful of this because this is an important part to understand, that there are different pieces. For each person, your credit score is unique. Just as the information on your credit report changes, so does the evaluation of your credit score. So you may see that it fluctuates, and sometimes it can be hard to understand exactly how things have evolved. But you just have to be mindful that there's all of these different things in your credit score that comprise it, and each of those things have different impacts on it, which can then affect your score. Now we want to talk about these credit inquiries, because this is a question we frequently get from our members when they are applying for credit or perhaps they get some credit offers. And so now I'm going to turn us over to our lending manager so she can talk some about this for you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. So what we really wanted to talk about, because there's a lot of questions surrounding credit inquiries and people are concerned and they want to know how will it affect your score. So the first thing to know is that there are two types of inquiries. So you have a soft inquiry and a hard inquiry. So examples of a soft inquiry, that would be when you would go online and pull a copy of your credit report yourself. Another example would say maybe if your employer pulls your credit, if you're applying for a new job, or also, your financial institution may get your credit score, once a year, just so that they can make special offers to you. So that type of inquiry does not affect your credit score, although it does show up on your credit report and you will see those inquiries. It does not have an effect on your score because it's not you applying for credit. The hard inquiries, those are the ones that are going to have more of an impact. So, when you are applying to refinance your home, when you're actively seeking to apply for credit, you authorize the lender to pull a copy of your credit report. So that's what they call an inquiry. So any kind of, applying for a mortgage, applying for a credit card, applying for a car loan, you go to a dealership to purchase a vehicle, those are all going to be hard inquiries and can have an impact on your score. As far as how inquiries do affect your score, it varies from person to person based on your credit history. So someone with a long credit history that's had a credit out there for 20 plus years, an inquiry is not going to impact your score as much as someone who is, just starting out and establishing credit. So, there's really no magic number. It just kind of varies from person to person based on their credit history. But, reports say that it can have an impact and affect your FICO score from as much as maybe 5 points or less. So it's very minimal as far as how the inquiries can affect your score.
That's really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not that much at all is what people think. Now, when you they said when you get an actual loan that, from the inquiry, the actual new credit, affects your score more than the actual inquiry itself. Your FICO score only considers inquiries from the last 12 months when it's calculating your score. However, the inquiries do remain on your credit report for at least 2 years.
That's really helpful. I will note that even though those new lines of credit and those inquiries may have some effect on your score, that payment history is worth a lot of your score. And as long as you're paying for that loan on time, you're going to see an increase in your score from it. So what about rate shopping? Folks are curious what happens. If you're going from place to place, you're checking out different credit unions or lenders, what happens when you're applying for a bunch of different loans to see who has the best rate?
When you're rate shopping, it's best to do it within a specified period of time. So 30 days or less is what they recommend when you're rate shopping. So if you're shopping for a mortgage, a car, student loans, and you've had multiple inquiries pulled within a 30-day time frame, then generally the FICO score will only count that as one inquiry. They're not going to count it, and bring your score down because you've had 5 inquiries during a 30-month time frame. They'll only count that as one inquiry. So it's best, it's really good to maybe do your research ahead of time. Most lenders, everyone has their rates posted on their website. They're easily accessible. So it's a good idea if you're doing mortgage or car, just go online first and just see what their rates are. Then that way you don't have to keep applying at multiple places and having your credit pulled at multiple places. But again, know that if you do, as long as it's done within a 30-day time frame, then those inquiries will only count against you as one inquiry instead of multiple ones when it affects your score.
That's really, really helpful. Okay, so we've gone rate shopping. We should definitely do this in a focus period. Should we apply for a bunch of new credit cards and things like that? Just because, we could save like 10% on our purchase if we had got that new credit card, right? Is it worth it?
You really only need to apply for new credit.
Can't hear you, Amy.
Oh, you can't hear me? Oh,
there we go. Now I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, you only need to apply and open new credit accounts as needed. Because again, every time you open a new account, that does affect your credit score. So you don't want to go out and just apply and keep applying because everywhere we go, we get offered a credit card. If you go shopping, they offer you 10% off. So it's really best to just only get credit as needed, not to keep opening new accounts.
That's really helpful. Any closing tip you'd like to give folks?
There's a lot of information online. You can educate yourself about your credit report and inquiries. And I think it's just as a general rule, inquiries have a very little impact on your score. Like Crystal said, the biggest thing, the payment history, the amounts you owe, those are going to contribute the most to your credit score. So it's just really mindful of, only open accounts as needed. I think that's the big takeaway.
This is so helpful. Amy also pointed out on the FICO website, they do give you some information on how to access your free credit reports. Annualcreditreport.com is your place to go to get a copy of your free credit report. You can do this once every 12 months. You can submit this request online, or you can fill out the form on annualcreditreport.com and mail this in. There's lots of websites out there that are imposters that say it's a free report, but the only true place to get a free copy of your credit report is from annualcreditreport.com. Oh, Amy, this has been so incredibly helpful today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and thank you everyone for taking the time to watch our webinar.
I hope you have a great day. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.